together again. So, I'm going to say that that's a win as far as first cards for a new deck. You know, to pull the Six of Wands is a great first card. And so I'm going to call that a win. I'm just going to let the stream kind of build up a little bit and go from there. I'm so defeated, you know. It's like utterly, absolutely, which is not a bad place to be, because that's the state of where you've, like it or not, have been stripped of all expectation. Like whatever it is you think you want, you're not getting. So just let go. And so that's what I'm going to do. You know, I want to do tarot readings, but they don't work because I can't, because the stream drops. I want to teach a subject, you know, in a consistent manner that I can get this statement out and it not be hiccuped, but I can't, so I'm not going to do that. And so I'm not really sure where to go with the channel. I want it to be practical knowledge that can be taken and utilized, but that's impossible if you can't get it out. And unfortunately, there's plenty of resources online for you to find this information in this format that's produced with good lighting and good speech and good graphics that gets the information on in an accurate manner, but it's not live. It's not practically being used in front of your face where there's a person you can access and talk to and that answers their phone, and you know. And so I thought there'd be a benefit to doing this, and I'm really, really, really frustrated that I can't, and I'm trying as hard as I can, and I'm going to continue to try. And unfortunately, that's all I can guarantee. I came in here with this expectation of doing, and doing's not happening. I'm doing a lot of trying. And so that's what I'm going to do, is to let go of the expectation of doing. And so I can, you know, sleep at night and be sane that I'm trying, that I'm hitting this button every day for the right reason. And that I'm at least, I can get a little personal win, that this is not a waste of anybody's time, and because that's not what I'm trying to do. The world doesn't need another tarot reader channel. You know, that's not what we need. So, if that's what, yeah, I don't even know how to put this thing so it's not in the way. We adjust to the mic situation here. The bottom is, there's no way to make it any less than that, so it takes up a pretty decent footprint for this little thing, and I'm trying to think of a way that I can get it to like be at a comfortable, but it's taking up like all the space I need to do a reading. And I think if I move it, I don't know, I have to kind of test the audio out and like record it and listen to it and tweak, because again, I have no safety of like, this is what I know is going to work, so let me just go with that, with that confidence. That confidence is gone. I have no safety of, when I'm in the middle of a reading, having to look up to see if I'm still connected means I've broken my channel, and I'm like thinking, and and so like, I don't know what to do. You know, you need to be open to being outside of your comfort zone, but I live in that state, and every once in a while it's nice to have something to anchor to, and I don't, and it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's like you feel that lack of gravity, and it's a little uncomfortable. And so lately, the past several days, I've been that, and I'm trying to work through it, and I'm not coping well. I'm sorry, I'm just not. I'm a little weak right now, so it's unfortunate. Because, you know, we all have our little things that we do that give us that peace, and this is that thing. These couple hours a night is my peace. And I miss it. I miss the comfort of coming on here and feeling good about talking, and now I'm just stressed about looking up and seeing that red dot that I've been speaking to myself for 10 minutes. And I don't know what I said because it's channeled. Like I just get it out, and then I kind of hope. Anyway. I think the audio works, right? Like if I just talk, like that's why I actually, no joke, considered dropping YouTube and doing a podcast. Because the software isn't gonna, like, it's just recording out an audio feed. I mean, I can do that, no problem. And at least, still do it live, have a call-in type of thing, so it's off the cuff and it's authentic. But I can't, I can't keep, every night trying to make this thing happen and it fail miserably publicly constantly. It's kind of wearing on me. Because the goal here is to disseminate a piece of information. That's it. That's all I want to do. And at the end of the day, if that one thing is the one thing that can't be accomplished, there's a few things that you bump into as you begin to develop a magical mind. And one of them is an intolerance for pointless, useless activity, right? It's kind of like, we have a very short time on this planet, and we don't know how long that is. And we have to do what we can to use that time in the best that we can. And I've made a decision. I made it my life's work for the rest of the time that I'm on this planet to do what I can to alleviate suffering in other people, because I've suffered, and we all have. And if we have the ability to take that from somebody, then don't we have the obligation? I mean, I would imagine we do, right? And so, what I consider is okay, well, I'm done. I live my life. I know who I am. And I know the power that I have. And I believe that I have the ability to help people to find that peace. Why? Because I've done it. Not like this. I didn't use the internet and microphones and cameras. It was always one-on-one or in a group setting, person to person. You heard my voice. So we work within the constraints that we have, right? And that's all we can do. I mean, that's what are we but defined by our constraints, right? We live within this body. We're constrained by our senses. We're constrained by our ability to interpret the input through our minds. We are our constraints with respect to the identity that we choose to perpetuate. Oh, look at this. This got held for review. Please hit the like button. It got held for review. And here's what's happening right now that I have to recognize why this is really no big deal, because what's happening right now is exactly what I would want to. It's just happening in a different manner and time that I had expected. I personally have an urgency, but that urgency is personal. It has nothing to do with the goal of the work or what the higher self is actually trying to accomplish here. My job is to get out of my own way and let that happen, regardless of how. The how isn't up to us, right? What are we here to do? We're here to set the intention, to fuel it, and to let it go and let it happen how it's going to happen. That's how magic works. If we try to enroll the universe in the how, we failed. That's ego. Ego doesn't do anything. Ego doesn't accomplish anything. Ego simply attempts to communicate to us with the intent of us thinking that we're the ones thinking. That's all it does. To manifest, you need something else. You need your will being spoken, not your ego. And you need to enroll the other. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm feeling this like really, 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 really dark. sensation in my soul right now. I'm in a very empty place of feeling like absolute, utter defeat. And so what I'm going to do is practice what I preach, and I'm going to transform that right now here live. And because here's how this works. I'm feeling this thing, and what this thing is that I'm feeling is an emergence in my heart. And what that emergence is the reality of the difference between my expectation and the thing that I met as the actual occurrence, the actual phenomena. There's what I wanted and what I got. And what that sensation is the difference between those two things. Now, I want to be clear about something. Expectation is half that equation. And let's talk about the source of expectation. The source of expectation is personality, identity, right? I have a specific thing that I wanted to happen, and I had a plan on how that was going to take place, and that's because of the personality, the ego, Michael, the thing that I become, the thing that I pretend to be. I'm pretending, you know I am. And why do you know? Because you are too. You're not fooling me. We can't not pretend. We are infinite beings of nothing more than an infinitely small point of reception that was born at the beginning of time, that exists at the end, that has already lived all this. What's Michael? A drop in the ocean of time. And so if we consider the thing that's actually creating the intention, creating the expectation that this universe has to meet or not in order for me to be satisfied, consider what that means. Michael, who is a lie, it's a character I made up in order to navigate reality, to speak to people, to interrogate with language and process it, right? But then I got fooled into thinking that that function was me, was my identity. It's not. It's just another lens. I see with the eyes, I hear with the ears. And what the ego does is it processes language information. That's all it does. But because we're so tied to language as a form of identity, which is half true, we think it's us. It's not us. It's not who we are. So why am I disappointed? What is that emptiness? The emptiness is a lie. What the emptiness is really just the reaction to the disappointment. And did disappointment take place? No. Disappointment is an adjective. Disappointment is the difference between what I want and what I got. That's all. It's the other side of the coin of anticipation. So if we get rid of expectation, we get rid of disappointment. The two, they need each other. Disappointment does not exist without expectation, right? If you just enter the situation and allow it to be what it is without adding anything to it, then there's nothing to disappoint. There's no expectation to be met or not met. It just is what it is. An opportunity to speak to some people that want to, I don't know, maybe talk about or listen to a certain subject. Maybe add some insight. Do I want to do Gematria to impress new people? Of course. Do I want to do tarot cards so I can show people my fancy spread that uses the system I developed? Absolutely. Does any of that matter with respect to the amelioration of the human race? Nope. That's right. Step off the wheel. Thank you. You are so much right now. I'm feeling pretty filled up. The cool part about the Six of Wands is that the victory's earned, right? It's not just like this person got promoted because they did their time. This person got promoted because they stepped up and people noticed. They were witnessed doing something good, and because of that, they were given their crown. Now, it's an important point here, which I want to make with respect to this card, is that there's two ivies. There's two wreaths. The one on the head and the one on the wand. Okay, there's a wreath on the head and there's a wreath on the wand. Now, if we consider the symbolism here, this is really important. There's a victory in both cases, right? We have the victory with respect to the will being done properly, the higher will being achieved, accomplished, and the lower will, the mind, also being successful in that same endeavor. Okay, so what we see in the card is the idea of there being a success, a victory in the unification of the divine will and profane mind. Very, very beautiful. Because what that means is that they're in connection, they're in unison. And when that happens, decisions flow, information flows. It's the idea of there not being any even question that arises, because the next course of action is just a natural thing to know. When the phenomena enters, it doesn't even process in your brain as a thing to be questioned. You just know what to do. Right. And that is a beautiful as above, so below. It really kind of is. This idea of the victory and of the will manifests down here as a victory of the mind. Divine will manifests in the lower world as divine mind. Profane mind manifests in the higher world as divine heart. But that said, will into mind, mind into heart, and then it creates that cycle of conversation, and that's where manifestation comes from. So again, that's a great card to start the deck with. Victory. Beautiful. And I love that it's a wand, because that's just like will. There's no anthropomorphized definition of the heart and mind and body and these things. It's just the one thing that happened, existed, began first. The desire to desire. For the sake of desiring. No other purpose. No other distraction. Okay, so let's do a reading. Let's actually throw some cards. I wonder where can I put this, where would be a good place to put the pentacle so it's visible during readings? So I can point to it and reference things. Let me see if it doesn't show up on the camera. That's not bad. Alright, so if I pointed to this, you'd see what I was talking about. There's other than that. I guess I won't be pointing at things. But so, but if I were to point at this, where's my stylus? Okay, good. Yeah, so you can. Yeah, you know what, man. Nope. Okay. Well, that would be cool, though, wouldn't it? To have a, an expert master tarot reader to use a diagram to just like totally illustrate what he's speaking would just be awesome. Wouldn't that be great if the universe allowed that to happen? I don't know, it says to me that that'd be great. Vesta, how's it going? I made a little change to the environment here. Redecorated a bit. Right now I just have my I Ching up the, oh boy. Wow, I just broke that. Yeah, so I had my I Ching pentacle up here to kind of charge the space with stillness. And it's just Elmer's glue, so I can fix it. It's not a permanent pentacle. I haven't decided whether to use magnet or otherwise, and so I just to kind of get a feel for the form factor, I just figured I'd glue it and then make something permanent later. And then that happened. So yeah. Yeah, I think it's time to just completely just rethink the channel and do a freaking banishing, because there's severe evil in my channel right now, and my soul is clear. I'm bulletproof, but my environment is being like fucked before my eyes, to the point where it's like obvious if you look back to the past 3 streams, everything breaking, falling, dropping. I can't. It's coming from every direction, and it's really strange. So, yeah, but that said, my resolve is strong. My will is strong. My patience is strong. And so it's just a matter of letting it be what it be. Okay, Sarah. Whatever will be. Yeah, here, look what I found today. I talked about it yesterday, so I figured I would grab them to just illustrate it. As I was digging through my stuff yesterday, I bumped into this. This is a real 1977 Kenner Darth Vader, with a cape and everything. The only thing that's please catch up, camera. The only thing that's missing is his lightsaber, which is actually kind of common. But he actually makes a really nice as above, so below, right? But in the meantime, actually, I recall that I also had an Admiral Akbar, which is in really great shape. And so here he is. That's a real 1977 Akbar. How cool is that? I have the luxury of being able to say that I saw every single one of the original, the prequels and the sequels, opening day in the theater, including the first one. And it changed my life. When that first crawl happened, here I am, this little Michael, and I'm in the theater, and I'm all looking up like, and then the credits hit, and I was like, right, and then imagine little me, the scene pans with this big planet, and you know how George Lucas knows how to do big. And then here comes this ship, and I remember as a child, I was a little kid, I remember looking up at it, and I was like awed by the size of this ship. I was like, and then the scene comes in, right, where you got R2-D2 and C-3PO walking through the white tunnel, and then the door cuts open, and boom, in comes Darth Vader. I was so terrified, like, I can't even tell you how, like, terrified of this ominous creature that walked into the room. It's this unassuming little, but so as a kid, that was an impactful moment. And these mean a lot to me. They do. Just interesting that I bumped into them looking for something else. I had them kind of put away, and they just, it's just a little piece of who I am. Love it. Wow. Thank you, Shushu. You're so right. Vesta just has it. To oblivion and beyond. So true. So, let's not let it stop us. I want to throw some cards. What's interesting too, even though I just broke the Oracle, the little dish I put together to contain it does have some use. right? This can still be used as an I Ching oracle, including that you could use the beads that are in here to derive your hexagrams, right? Whether you use the pinch method or you use the polarity of the gold and silver. So you can easily derive the trigrams with that. And the mathematics is there with respect to it creating a temple to the idea of polarity, and to the idea of the interplay of the elements in a constant state of change, which is what we are anyway. That's actually who and what we are. Right, and so we might as well give into that. Okay. All right, so yeah, I'm going to throw cards. I mean, that's just it. And I'm going to bring my scrying ball out. This thing is really something. Obsidian is it's a special stone with respect to its grounding ability. The fact that it's a natural occurrence, and that it's like a volcanic glass, and so there's a beauty to the fact that it, in some of its states, is perfectly clear, and in some states it's completely opaque. Right? There's no light passes through this. It strictly reflects. And what does it reflect? It reflects a very specific kind of energy. It reflects a certain kind of light that can not be seen by the eyes. Right? Let's just put it down here. I wonder where I can stick this mic. I mean, I guess I still sound pretty clear right now, don't I? I don't know. I'm not sure if I have to aim at it or, because it seems like it's not, I have to be aimed at it in order to get the proper sound. And if I turn away, it seems to get lower. So I'm not sure exactly where to put this thing so I can just not have to worry about it. It really is something. And I love the color rag it came with. It came with a yellow silk. Right? And that's just great. And so now that I've broken the deck in, I can shuffle it and play with it and do whatever I want without, having any issues. The first card that we pulled was Mega Major Good Mojo. And so I can use it now, and if I pull the Death and the Tower and the Devil all at once, I'm going to be like, psst. I started with the Six of Wands. You can't touch me. Victory is ours. You guys seen the moon tonight? Looking all lovely, isn't she gorgeous? Look at that face. Love that. I have to find a good spot for it. It's not really sturdy up here. And, with my luck, it's just waiting to hit the ground the third time. But I mean, as far as this time of year and the way the moon has been the past several days has been gorgeous. I mean, someone had a really good idea. They messaged me today. It's a regular that pops in here. She's not here right now, but she had a really great idea. She said, next time you do a reading on the channel, why don't you maybe engage some of the people that are watching? Like, if anyone out there has a deck and you want to participate in this process, go grab your deck, shuffle it, and get ready. pull a card, let it be a random one. I'll read a couple of cards, and then I'm going to ask whoever wanted to participate to just put the card that they got in the chat, and then we'll use those cards as well in the reading, so that we have a combination of energy. I thought it was a great idea. And so I'm going to pose that right now. I'm going to shuffle these cards. I'm going to throw them out. We'll start with like a 3-card sort of stream of consciousness type of thing, and see where we go from there. And whoever else out there has a deck handy, I'm sure 1 or 2 of you do, then we can include those cards in the reading. What's an interesting thing that can happen as well, this is one of the reasons I like to use 2 decks too, is it offers the opportunity for you to double up on cards. Meaning that because you're using 2 decks, there's a possibility of you getting the same card twice, which obviously can't happen with a normal tarot deck. So there's opportunity there, which is really neat, right? Great. Okay, cool. So then shuffle. When you feel right, stop. Pull the top card. Don't tell me what it is, but I'm going to go through a couple of cards, and then at some point I'm going to ask you to reveal the card that you pulled in the chat, okay? And so, and anyone else who has a deck that wants to do that, feel free. Go grab it, shuffle, pull a card, have it ready, and when I tell you, put it in the chat, and we'll go from there, okay? In the meantime, I'm going to begin. Have I mentioned I love obsidian? Yeah, no question. Yeah, just general vibe of what should we know? Tell us the truth. Just have the energy of truth in the air while you're shuffling. Now, I moved around a bunch of stuff on my desk here, which includes my computer. I used to be here in front of me, and if you recall, this space used to be taken up by laptop, which is actually now moved completely out of the way. It's off camera. You can see a sliver of it here. Right. But that's it. And so the space has really changed dramatically, which is nice, and it offers some opportunity to add larger spreads. One of the reasons that I did this is that I've decided that I'm going to teach the opening of the key. It's a very important spread. It's a really, really cool spread. It's one that is, it's a Golden Dawn based spread that Crowley kind of polished up, and he speaks about it in some of his books. The opening of the key is an important spread, and it requires space because it uses the whole deck. It's a different kind of spread as far as laying it out. You do counting, and then you count from cards. You start at this one, and based on the type of card, you count a certain number, and then you read that card, and then you count until you wind up back at that card, and so you found the loop, and then you move on. It's a really very powerful reading, and I'm going to be teaching it when I'm confident enough that I can teach online again. But okay, and then it's going to be a neat type of reading. But that said, it requires more space, and so. But this works out. So let's shuffle, and I'm going to pull 3 cards. And what we're doing here is telling a story, right? This is not a positional meaning, so it's not going to be like a past, present, future, or anything like that. This is just going to be more of a stream of consciousness sentence with these 3 cards. I have to say, there's a few cards of the tarot that are just iconic images, right? Like there's a few that when you see them, you're just like, yeah, that image is just so iconic. This is one of them. Right? That Three of Heart is one of those images that just, it hits you, right? And now I've showed this image before in its first iteration, which was in the Solabusca from the late 1400s, 1480s, right? Solabusca was the first tarot deck that used scenic small cards instead of just the suit laid out. It used scenes, and that particular deck had an image of it was the wand, actually. It was the Three of Wands, but three wands stuck into a heart. It was an alchemical symbol, but this is represented here as swords, and the swords represent mind, right? So this is three minds into the heart at the same time, and it's causing confusion. It's like there's too much coming from several directions, and there's not a lot of ease emotionally. It's actually kind of a torrent emotionally because you have several things going on, and it's hard to kind of decide, and it's causing tension. We see here in the 9, this is an idea of, well, there's a few things, but typically what this refers to in a divinatory meaning is the idea of anxiety. And that anxiety is based on past things, past experiences, past things that you've gone through that you think are going to continue to affect you. Hang on, I have to put my glasses on because I can't see the screen from leaning back, and I feel like leaning back. Yeah, the 11s are special, right? It's when I did a lecture a while back with respect to the numbers, right? And the idea of, for instance, why 8, why 6, and why these numbers are holy. 7, where does 7 come from? 7, interestingly, comes from the cube. Right, the emergent point that points out at the 4 directions, and so that's 6, right? Forward and back, up and down, left and right. It's the 6 directions plus the point that it emerged from, which is 7, and so that's where we get the 7 from. And now, if we take that cube that's been created by applying the idea of 6 to the point, right? The point goes left and right, up and down, back and forth. That's 6 creates the cube. The point in the center is the 7. Count the corners. Count the corners of the cube. You have 8 corners, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? So it's from a 1 merges into a 6, which becomes a 7, which becomes an 8. And it's really one object we're talking about, which is that original point emerging as this shape. So I just want to be clear on what we're talking about. If you consider the Tree of Life as an example, with the 10 Sephirot, in unison, the whole thing is an 11. There's the 10 plus the thing that it is, which is that holy 11. There's also this idea of halves. Halves are important, but halves are what wind up giving you odd numbers. For instance, the moment that you, back in the beginning of time, became self-aware, 3 happened immediately. It wasn't like the 1 said, okay, well, I want to fall, so I'm going to descend into 2ness, and then that 2ness split into the genders, and so now there was 3. No, it all happened at literally the same moment. The moment the will occurred to want to be had, in that same moment, the thing that did the having was born. It's the idea of taking your fist and punching it into some sand. As your fist punches through the sand, the hole emerges at the same time as the fist. It's not like your fist enters the sand and then a hole emerges, or a hole emerges and then your fist hits the sand to fill that hole. No. They occur at the same moment. The want to be had and the thing to have it occurred at the same time in the higher world. So we can look at them as separate things, but we also look at them as the thing. Okay, and that's where two halves can make one. It's the same idea with 11. What 11 comes from is this idea of this interplay of halves. And this interplay of the understanding that, for instance, a cube is a 6, but it's also a 7. Right. And so anytime you see 10 reflected, there's an 11 implied there. But as far as the portal is concerned and these other things, essentially, and this is important, 2 11s, and here's the real crux here, because we were just talking about halves. 2 11s equal the full breadth of the vocabulary that's utilized to speak manifestation into existence. So let me be clear about what I mean by that. The universe, when it first began, was infinite nothingness. And then you became self-aware. Remember? You were there. And you got bored. And you wanted to experience the totality of human experience. And how did you decide to do that? By creating it. You created the universe in order that you can experience the totality of its possibility unfolding. That's why you did that. Now, how do you bring the world into physical manifestation? Well, it turns out that you used a very powerful technique. You spoke it into existence. Now, how do you speak reality into existence? It was an angelic language. It was a special language, and that language was derived from a very unique unfolding of the letter Yud, which is that original will, the original spark, the first flame that said, have me, want me. And the moment that desire of want was put out, I was created to want you. They happened at the same moment. But you had to speak my name in order for me to be made manifest. And so you spoke it using the angelic language. Now, that angelic language manifests in the lower world as an alphabet. And there are 22 letters of the alphabet that creation derived from. Those 22 letters are symbolized in various places. The most prominent with respect to our work here in this community is the major arcana of the tarot. The major arcana are, there are 22 in total, are each one representing one of the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Now, so just want to be clear, in order to speak something into physical manifestation, it needs to be done using one of the 22 letters or a combination thereof. You speak the word. And so it's a combination of your will and the will of the divine combined to create that conversation. So you speak 11, it speaks 11, together you speak 22, manifestation happens. So what 11 represents on its own is half of creation. There's the higher self that had the desire to manifest, and the lower self, which is the product of that desire, being born out of necessity to fill it. Combined is the 22 letters, which is the totality of physical possibility unfolding. And so when people talk about 1111 being the portal, 99% of them are regurgitating something that they read in a meme. But the 10% of them, or 1%, do understand, okay, well, what we're talking about here is actually half the name of God. Right? Half the name of God unfolded as the physical elements of the world. The actual name of God is an unspeakable name, which equals the number 26. Half of that being 13, right? So 13 is half God. That's why it's kind of like an unholy number. But as far as the language is concerned, it has a different connotation. And so 11 is very holy because it reminds us that we have access to that same language. We have access to the same power to manifest if we only knew how to speak. Because it doesn't come from the throat. If we only knew how to listen, which you don't do with the ears. And when you go through those motions and you understand that algebra of the conversation, you'll understand that 11 is a very integral part of that portal, which is really just another word for saying it's the vessel to carry the word up and then to carry the word back down. Okay? So that's the Michael Karras definition of 1111 being a portal. I'm curious to hear other people's interpretations of that. You know? I mean, everyone has their their source that they go to for that type of knowledge. And there's various individuals that have an interpretation of that that's probably correct. And I always speak this, once you know the one truth, you can see the truth anywhere. And so you can go to a channel of somebody that's talking about 1111 from a totally wackadoo kind of perspective without any understanding of it, and yet there can still be truth and wisdom in their words. Even if they don't know that they're speaking the truth, they will be, right? Let's take a look at Tanamera. Now, by the way, Tanamera is I'm not trying to out you. I'm not trying to get anything specific or personal or intimate. Tanamera has a very strong ability to connect with divine archetype and actually render it. She has the ability to render these archetypes into images that can be utilized, meditated upon, and then actually create to manifest these symbols. And so, she's this 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, so forth. Has these holographic representations in the real world that she's able to render as a 2D version. It's really quite something. I've been very fortunate to look at a few that she was very gracious to share, and they're special. And consider what these mean, too. You have to kind of do the math here, all right? Because we have 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and it just goes up in even numbers. And when you cut them in half, you wind up with those halves that we talked about, right? Yep. And if you're sensitive to that information, it can really have a very deep impact. Anybody who has studied Reiki understands the idea of that. That's a similar concept, right? As far as the unfolding of the crystalline structure of our soul, made manifest in 3D that reflects as a 2D surface, right? And that we can see some very interesting things like that. For instance, the Star of David. Because we know that the Star of David is really just a two-dimensional representation of this object, which is, nothing short of the actual thing that we are. This is like literally your baby picture, right? This is the picture of what you look like right now. And what it is the counter-rotating force of the divine feminine being filled up and the divine masculine filling it, and the two of them dancing in a counter-rotating force, right? And that's that interplay that creates all that probability. And so when we look at the Star of David, what we're actually looking at is a 2D representation of a three-dimensional shadow of a hyperdimensional object. And that's actually what the alphabet was. That shape I just showed, if you were to shine light through it, would cast a shadow on the surface. And as each turn, depending upon the angle of the turn of that object, creates a different shadow, which is one of the letters of the alphabet. And based on those rotations, Hebrew was born. And so it literally is an analog of the creation of each element individually, those 22 letters. And so that because of that fact, it can be used to manifest, to speak truth. And it works. Anyone who's watched Gematria happen on this, channel here will know right away that, like, yeah, he's not kidding. It works. It's not a joke. It's really, really special. So let's continue. The Three of Heart. We have three different competing ideas in the heart, and it's hard to decide, and it's causing anxiety. Now, that anxiety doesn't just necessarily have to be mental anguish. You have to learn Hebrew from a practical perspective, yeah. For a working perspective, at least. Just memorize the basics, like the letters themselves. There's only 22 of them. And the numerical values wouldn't hurt either. And the planets and the signs and all that, the corresponding, whatever. And all you need is this. This is what you need. Once you have this, you have everything. Memorize this symbol. Memorize, this is it. This is everything. This is literally the table of contents for the tarot, right? So just as long as you memorize this diagram, don't worry, you can get it done if you're really focused on it, you could probably memorize the Tree of Life in its entirety in about 35 years. Good thing you're young. I'm kidding. It takes 40. So that said, all kidding aside, this is really the totality of the tarot, the totality of I Ching, the totality of every body of knowledge in one diagram, and it really is amazing because it does get to the heart of the truth there. So that's, you can definitely use this to learn the Hebrew that matters. So this Nine of Sword energy, the anxiety comes from it's similar to what I talked about before as far as the difference between expectation and reality, the thing I thought I was going to get and what I actually got. And the fact that those two things are different is what causes this anxiety. Oftentimes, too, these swords refer to different decisions that were made in the past that didn't end well. And now the lesson here is not just that. That's the matter-of-fact statement. Like, okay, well, the pain that this person is experiencing is them going over these past experiences, these past decisions that they made that were a failure. But, you know, this isn't the lesson of the card. The card is not telling us that. What it's telling us is just let go of them. It's in the past. Are you really going to sit up and lose sleep overnight about that thing that happened 10 years ago? Like, move on, man. But that's the deal. These competing ideas can very easily no longer become a source of suffering by just letting go. And saying, you know what, I'm not going to entertain any of them. Life is not a choice, it's a series of decisions. A choice implies that there's a limit. Do you want A or B? How about neither? That's right, step off the wheel. And when you recognize that that's the case, you can get rid of these swords. Like, you know, listen, we've all been there. I've done some bad stuff. Stuff I'm not proud of. Stuff I don't talk about. Stuff that I would be so embarrassed if people knew happened. Right? We all have that list of stuff. Let it go. It's not who you are. It's who you were. And you weren't even that then. So don't even worry about it. The Knight of Pentacle. Now, we're in Rider-Waite land, and so the Knight is the Knight. In the Thoth system, he would be the Prince. Okay, the Knight in the Thoth system is the King, so ignore that. But this would be the Prince in the Thoth system. So all of the Knights represent air, sword, communication. Right? And now what this means is that the Knight of Pentacle is the idea of communicating what you want to make manifest. What is it you want to bring into the world? Or more importantly, you want the thing that you made to be seen and heard and known. Yeah, that's right. Make peace with your past. I love that. You can't let go of it until you integrate it. Otherwise, it stays separate and it just pokes at you. You gotta let it in, even if it's painful. Feel it. You'll live. You lived the first time. He also is the bringer of the element. Basically, the princess, who is the object of his desire, provides her pentacle because he wins her in battle. Now that he has it, he doesn't want to keep it. His job is not to keep the pentacle. His job is to give it away, to take that thing and allow others to grow, right? To take that thing and to let it be the seed that brings everyone else to this place where they can begin to manifest as well. So it's not a selfish endeavor. It winds up being quite the opposite. And he just runs around communicating how to build pentacles. That's all he does. He teaches people how to build pentacles. Because that's what he wants to do. That's what he's charged with. He didn't win her in battle to get her pentacle so that he can stuff it in the bank and die. He did it so that he can teach other people how to do the same thing, how they can build their own. All right. And that's a biggie. Brianna, I don't know what it is, but your stuff always gets held for review. I guess the chat is assumes that if they're not words, you can't guarantee context, and so it's not like, I'm curious why all of the your particular posts wind up getting stuck, right? I don't know. Right, agreed, right? And we got to be open to it. We got to be open to that. So let's look at this now. Now that we've got some learning, I'm going to take the other deck and we're going to now get some guidance here. What is this thing? What are these three ideas that are competing, that are causing this issue? What's keeping you up at night? Is this past experience? Or is this somebody else trying to enroll you in their like psychotic ideas? Kind of like a narcissistic sociopath that's trying to control you through emotion. And you're the victim of that anxiety. Let's find out if that's the case. And then finally, what is the thing attempting to be communicated? Obviously, this is the communication of the desire to make manifest the will. You want to speak the thing you want to make. But so I'm curious what it is that wants to be made. Right? So I'm just going to put these aside. How's that shadow look? It's not so bad. Okay. All right. I'm feeling like crazy chariot vibe right now. Crazy chariot vibe. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw the three cards down, and then I'm going to ask whoever wanted to participate and shuffled and grabbed a card to put it out. Okay. That's awesome, Shushu. Wow. The way it landed too, I could totally see that. That's cool. I love that. Yeah, let's catch up here. Plant the seeds of truth and love, because exploring those curiosities made you the power. I'll give you that. Yeah. Tana, I have a shelf fall on my right foot as soon as I walk into the house. What do you think they are trying to tell me? Wow. That's interesting. A shelf fall on your foot. Your right foot. Yeah, I consider doing we should do a group banishing. This chat's awesome right now. Yeah, see, I'm in a different state too. I mean, it's, everyone has sort of their own magic, but I'm bulletproof, but my environment isn't. It's present in my space, and I'm bouncing into things. Like, I mean, my soul is fine, but man, the stuff around me is suffering. Your mom broke your bed. Yeah, Feng Shui is important. I was about to say that. Yeah, you want to be facing north-south, not east. Right? You want to, because that energy is it's like flowing directly into you. We want to balance that a little bit. And everyone's a little different, whether or not they point their feet north or south. And kind of, you're going to want to feel, because everybody's a little different. You're going to want to feel which one works for you. But you'd be surprised how just turning your bed 90 degrees can change your life. And where in the house you have it with respect to the bagua. Like here on the top left, you'll see a picture of the bagua. And that's a very good indication of if you overlay this in your space, in a room, plus in your home, and holographically overlay that those elements give you some indication of what needs to be present in that space to make it correct, if it were correct, right? And so the idea here is that, in the north part of the home is where you're going to want to have heaven and heaven-related energies. Right? To the southern portion of the home is where you're going to want to have the physical stuff and so forth, where the fire is, where the water is. And if you're finding that you have too much or too little, you can go through the steps of color. The room's too red, add some blue. And so it lets us kind of go through that process. So, all right, kitten. I saw that you put some text or where am I going to put my microphone? I'm not sure how I sound when it's far away, and so I don't want it to. I don't want to like sound like I'm muted. You had put some cards in the chat, right, related to the reading here, and so I'm going to pull a couple, but if you can stick them back in or whatever. South is my kitchen, living room, and north is my bedroom. Yeah, I'm facing, my feet face east. My head faces west. I sleep east-west. My feet face east when I sleep. But so, I'm going to pull 3 cards and then I'm going to... Depending upon your couch, sometimes that's a more comfortable place to sleep, right? Or the person you're sleeping with, like if they're like if they move too much, or if they snore too loud, or whatever the case may be. Interestingly, too, it's funny that we're on the subject of feng shui. I was just recently reading notes from a lecture that I had. It was like, what was this? About 3 years ago, related to using feng shui in the from an astrological perspective. Let me see if I still have the notes. It was a pretty fascinating subject. Yeah, it's local space astrology and astrological feng shui. What a subject. Good stuff, right? Yeah, local space. It's an interesting concept that I kind of kicked around and I've tried to dip my toe in, and it just didn't vibe with me. But I've tried to connect with it. Here's an example of a diagram of how to apply your birth chart using feng shui to decide what to put and where to put it. There's some interesting stuff. I may speak about it at some point. But from a practical perspective, it's a little complicated with the way that it's been talked about so far, and I wanted to make it a little more interesting, with respect to how to teach it, the why. outside. It takes up too much space. Check on that. I want to catch up on the chat here. Wow. Wow, okay, yeah. Yeah, you got a bunch going on there, huh? Well, that's Vesta. That's a very important point. When you're pregnant, there's all kinds of energies that are going to want to pop in on that process, right? Like whether that's individuals that are part karmically of that baby's energy, they're going to want to, celebrate the new reincarnation. There's going to be energies of people that protect you, that are going to want to be there to make sure that they kind of like lend their hand energetically to the baby and the growth. There's the idea of the negative entities that are going to want to squash the joy of the moment. There's all kinds of things that pop up when you're pregnant. And also, as you move through the stages, and the baby begins to develop a more complete form, the baby will begin to invite karmic entities into the mix as well. And so you're going to begin to feel all kinds of different energies popping up that you can begin to get a little bit of a sensitivity for with respect to how they feel, whether or not they're transient or permanent, right? Some of those energies are actually like soul family of the baby that you just haven't met yet. But they're going to be around for a long time from this point forward, and you begin to feel the familiarity of their energy. Right? You know what I think I'm going to wind up doing here? I think I'm going to wind up giving Brianna and Tanamera what's it called? Because both of their posts keep getting stopped, and if I elevate them, then it's not going to do that. So we're just going to... I'm elevating Tanamera and Brianna to mod. Alright, so this way your stuff could just get shown. I trust you both. So where's Brianna? Okay. Okay, good. So you both should be mod now and should be able to just do what you want to do without your stuff getting stopped. Okay. Alright, I guess I have to just give everyone mod. Is there a way for me to just turn, like, elevate everyone or just shut off the chat? Like, I don't want anything stopped. You should be able to say the word thundercunt. Like, why not? This is, we're all adults. This is a room full of divine feminine. Can you elevate Missy too? I can't see any of her posts. Sure. Yeah, Missy, are you still in the room? I gotta scroll back and find her name. And I'll add your guys' names to my channel so that I don't have to do it every chat. And that way, any of you can make the decision. If you're in this community and I give you mod, that means I trust you to kick people out. But just to be clear, and you guys know this, it's very rare that I ever kick anyone out of my chat room. You got to do something seriously hardcore to get kicked out of my chat room. A tourmaline doorknob? Wow. That would be so great. Black tourmaline? Rutilated? Reticulated? Watermelon? Pink. You know what you could do, actually? Hang on a minute. Let's get fucking hardcore. I'm not trying to insult anybody. But there's one way to get rid of it. Right now. And we're going to do that. I'm going to keep these in order. In case there's time left, we'll continue the reading. It's time for the big guns. Pardon me while I do secret things that you're not allowed to see. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so okay, well, we need to give it a name. But actually we don't, because actually it's irrelevant what the name is. Because by the authority that I'm going to be invoking, it doesn't matter what its name is, right? Okay, so don't worry about that. I'm going to think of it. Where's the top? It's already trembling. It's already trembling. You know what's coming, buddy. Hope you had fun. Take a screenshot of this and show it to him later. Get the actual name in order. This one in particular is actually not so bad. Okay. Okay, Vesta, I want you to just kind of try to settle. Clear your mind. There's no particular intent here. You're not trying to banish. You're not trying to bring anything toward or away. You're not trying to insult anything. You're trying to recognize that there's an individual in your home that is an intelligence, an entity with a personality. And you are going to, using the authority that you have been granted by your sovereignty, ask it to leave. And you're going to do it nicely once. If it doesn't listen after that, then you're going to get not nice. But it knows that, and so we won't have to go there. Margot, Maggie, Margaret. Abracapocus. Pocus cadabra. put this microphone. Pardon me. O thou Spirit, because thou hast diligently answered unto me demands, thou hast been very ready and willing to come to my call, and I do here license thee to depart unto thy proper place, without causing harm or danger unto man or beast. Depart then, I say, and be thou very ready to come at my call, being duly exercised and conjured by the sacred rite of magic. I charge thee to withdraw peacefully and quietly, and the peace of God be ever continued between thee and me. Amen. After thou hast given the Spirit license to depart, thou art not to go out to the circle until here thee be gone, and until thou shalt have made prayers and rendered unto the thanks of the great blessings of God. So mote it be. Pardon me. It'll just be a moment. I'm not alone right now, and it's the working can happen until I'm alone. So it'll just be another moment here. I apologize. Something entered the space, and it'll just be a moment. Okay, we're good. This is a symbolic, very holy, precious metal version of the name of God, the Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh in one symbol. Just witnessing this, and they'll tremble. And that's not a joke. When the third bell strikes, the working is done. When you hear the third bell, repeat the words, "So mote it be," and say it with power. So mote it be. It's done, right? That's the energy you want to have. Okay, on the third ring. So mote it be. Good. Right? Awesome. Good. Yeah, no, this, with the people that were participating in this with me on their own space, the energy that just got raised toward this is not a joke. Okay? Let me clean up the space. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay? There's some things I don't want you to see, and the order that I remove things is important. I'll be right back. Alrighty, we're good. All right, so you should immediately begin to feel some relief, like truly, and because at the absolute minimum, that one entity is gone. All right, and there may be others that are present, but those others are paying attention to the fact of, oh shit, right? And so you're probably going to hear some quiet going on in the next several days as they recognize that, okay, this is not a joke, and that thing that just got banished never came back, and they don't want that. They don't want to be part of that, and so they're going to avoid that at all costs. Okay. If it continues, call me right away. There's a crazy coven of bitches in here that'll just kick some karmic ass if they need to. And so you just need to let the people in the room know that it ain't happening, and they'll get her done, right? In the meantime, just keep in touch and let us know what's going on. Okay? You have a pain exiting your buttock. Awesome. Love that. Okay, so just good stuff. And that's why I'm not going to seek re-election as a deacon in my church. You know, I outed myself to my pastor. I told her the truth. And, you know, I thought that it would be unwise for me to continue on in an official capacity in the church while I'm, you know, banishing entities at home at night. Oh, and calling them and creating them and, you know, believing in them. Because they're real. They are real. They're real. I got news for you. They're real. That's right. I'm a rational human that, you know, writes databases and does graphic design and speaks to entities. I've got something charging in here right now, actually. This bell is more than just a bell. It's a charging station. Okay, and I've got something in there that's going to be used for a different piece of magical working at another time. But, yeah. And so that might become clear. I used some intention last night in that manifestation bowl for a certain working that came to fruition immediately. It was 12 hours later. I'm not telling you guys what it is, but let's just say you'll know soon enough. Let's just say by the end of November, it will all be clear. So, awesome. It's about 5 o'clock, so I'm going to wrap it up here. What I'd like to do is to take a look at my notes and see if there's anything critical I wanted to cover tonight that I didn't because the night became totally weird and funky, which is cool. I love weird and funky. What? Yeah. You bark on the truth, Chloe. Go ahead, honey. You hear my dog? Yep, there is something. There's something that I almost forgot. Man, thank God I checked my notes. I have to reveal the coolest oracle. Somebody participated in this process by making their own oracle. And what they put together is quite something. And so I wanted to show it, and so I asked permission, and they said yes, and she sent me pictures, and so I'm going to do that. And before I do that, I'm going to read the chat, because I just saw the words fuck incubus ass. And so I have to know what's going on here. I'm having some FOMO. Let's see. Okay, here we are with the pain exiting the buttock. Wait, okay, yeah, wait. Where is the buttock pain? Yeah, this looks like some shit just went down on this shit live. Like we just got some work done, man. Between the mojo that was going on in the chat and the working here with the circle, that was insane. That's cool. Let's take a look at it. Wow, really? Want me to stab him? Man, what is it? Canadians are some stabby people. You know, it's funny, America, you know, we get messed up with things and we pull out guns, right? But Canada, they're like, nah, we want to get up close and personal. Canada, there's some stabby people. Truth. truth. Yeah, that's not a joke, that statement. Special ops is truth. So, wow. See, now you got Brianna Pig taking out knives. That's it's on now. Now it's on. So here's the deal. You know, whenever you find yourself in a situation like this where you have an entity or an energy that's in your space and you've gone through the steps of trying to get rid of it, you have to own that. Right? Own the authority of the fact that, bitch, you're not allowed in my house anymore. And if I hear you again, I'm just going to do it again. And next time we're going to get harsh. Right? Know it. That it ain't coming back. And same thing with that authority. When you know, individuals that have those kind of energies around them come into your space, you got to let them know, like, hey, listen, this is the wrong person. And you say it energetically. You say it with your heart. You say it with your eyes. It's in the tone of the voice of your eyes when you're speaking to them. It's not about the words that you're using. It's about the intention behind the words. Like, oh, are you in my house? Did you forget that you're not welcome here? Now get out. That's all it takes. You don't need to banish with any of the stuff anymore because the energy's present there and it knows who directed it. All right? Just remind them, oh, wait, did you forget? Okay, good. See you later. Maybe next time. It's okay. You have authority. And they will sniff your fear a mile away. I didn't ask you a question. It's not an option. I told you to get out. You know, the authority's real and you have to take it. Right? And when you do, and depending upon the actual intent behind the spirit, if the spirit was a vampire, which it might have been, it might have just been like enjoying your energy and just drinking your energy. When you stop inviting it, it's not going to want to waste its time. It's going to want to feed. And if you stop feeding it, it's going to go elsewhere. He doesn't like it when you sing. I like it when you sing. You know what song is stuck in my head right now? It's been stuck in my head for a couple of days, actually, and I haven't said it because I don't know. I've been kind of singing it around the house a little bit to try to get it out of my head, and it's not working. Barry Manilow, Could It Be Magic? Who remembers that song? I know a couple people here that are old enough to remember that. Yeah. It's one of those things, you know. That's awesome. Look at this. Yeah, the people in the chat have like fans. It's true. Well, you know, listen, I mean, undeniably, everyone here has to know that I've stalked everyone's channel or their profile at least once, right? If you've popped in and become a friend of the channel here, I check you out, see what it's all about, right? That's how I bumped into Tanamera. It's like, oh, you know what? She's got a pretty cool energy, man. I want her part of my thing, and I want to be part of her thing. And now we are. Right. Yeah, Brianna also sings and raps. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of musicians in the room. Truly. It's a very musical, powerful group here. It's cool. It's a fun group. All right, so what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, Kitten. Kitten made an oracle, a bead oracle. The math is all there, but she went a totally different direction, and so I want to show everybody what she did because it's so unique. Let me make sure it's set up here. I believe it is. Yeah. Okay, good. I mean, all right. So now, just to be clear with the oracle, in my particular circumstance, I used the feminine beads, those copper hand painted with the different suits, the pink and the greens and these types of things. And then for the masculine one, it was kind of like a blue-orange vibe. Look what she did. So the blue cat beads, those pendants, are the elements. And now I just want to be clear, because she spoke very at length about this when she put it together, that the dish that she picked, or the beads that she picked, don't really gel so well on size, right? I think the beads are a little smaller than she expected, or that the dish was a little bigger, but just look at how this came out. This is gorgeous. And let's just flip through some of these, because they're just really, really cool. The style of the colors and the cat vibe is really interesting, but she went in an even cooler direction, when completing the whole thing, which is really neat. If this will flip images. Of course not, because that'd be too easy. Okay, let's see. There we go. Love that. How cool is that? Let's get a dramatic version of this picture right here. Yeah, just look at this. You have the cat bowl, you have the Cheshire cat peeking over, plus the cat's down here kind of checking out like, why doesn't it taste and smell like it's supposed to? Mommy, the food's stale. Too much. Like, seriously? Really? I mean, how cool is that? As the elements, right? And she's using the thumbtack as the significator. El gato. It's true. It is. It looks nice. And you know what? She can either double up on the beads, because the math will still be correct, or just get bigger beads. Right? Love that, though. You've got Spirit dropping 2 wills with the water coming out of the heart, pointing directly into the center of this unification. This is a great little reading right here. Nice spread. Love that. Love that. I love this one in the middle, too, with the 3 stars and going from green to blue. It's so indicative of what we're talking about with the story. The descent from the divine heart into the, down into the pentacle is great. Love that. And it has that idea of the 3 stars of the supernal triad. It really is a good symmetry, good symbolism. Just awesome. Love that. I'm not all there myself. Beautiful. That's a cool bead too, that Saturn bead. I like that a lot. Is that tourmalated? Is that tourmalated quartz? It is, isn't it? Hang on. Kitten, are you still in the room? Okay, good. Is that tourmalated quartz? Those clear ones. Does that have or is it rutilated? Tourmalated is going to have black. Rutilated is going to have gold. So that's rutilated quartz, right? Is that what that is? The little clear ones that look like they have gold flecks in it. Are they flecks, or do they look like lines? Because that's really cool. And my question is what bead is that? Like the one on the bottom left there, next to that carnelian or that orange, right? That one that's above. Okay, I think that might be All right, let's do some zooming in here. Rutilated quartz looks like clear quartz with gold hairs. Almost looks like fuzz. Let's see another one. Where did I see another one? There's one down here. That's gotta be, yeah. Very neat. Which what element is that, love? Is that which the clear ones with the gold? What are those? Is that your air? Is that your fire? Which one are those? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, not the white line. Yeah, I guess it looks like there might be some splashes of gold in there. Yeah, she's got turquoise in there. There's a couple of really pretty sodalite. Those dark ones that look like they're sodalites. I'll zoom out a little bit here. Yeah. Oh, that's lapis in the middle. That's a lapis lazuli. Look at that. I can see the gold flecks. That's a pretty stone. That square one in the middle. That's a lapis. Next to that tiger eye. Pretty. Yeah, you got a nice little mix here. What's interesting too about your style that you chose here is that they're all semi-precious and there's no polished, rounded, manufactured. Right, this is all just like honed and hued by goddess. So the shapes are there's a rawness to it, which I really like, and the color patterns too are really natural. Like, look how much that planet bead sticks out because of that aqua color, where everything else has this kind of natural vibe to it, and so you don't have that same problem. It's very cool. Yeah, it is. And I love the idea that you went like all in with the cat motif. The bowls are cats. You got the Cheshire cat vibe going on. Just really cute. Just really cute. And that picture you got of the cat eating from the bowl, that's just too much. Made me smile. What did I do with my glass? Oh, they're right here. Your Kundalini went nuts. Squee. It's funny. Squee's the name of an immortal goblin in a certain setting. I actually played him in a mono red deck. This is why we're all smitten for kitten. That's awesome, though. What an oracle. Good for you. What a blast. And you have a ton of stones, too, so you could do a lot of other types of oracles. Like, for instance, this is my polarity oracle. Right? And what this is, it's not really an oracle, but it is. But it isn't, but it is. It's a soulmate oracle. It's a polarity. Everything in here is either a plus or a minus, a male or a female, an up or a down, a yes or a no. That's it. For every red bead, I put in a blue one. For every black one, I put in a white one. For every round one, I put in a square one. And so every bead in here has an opposite. Every bead in here has a soulmate that's in here waiting to be found, right? So it's a big ball of the others, right? And so it's an interesting way to kind of get a polarity reading. So you just shake it up and just whatever's dead center, read that. That's your answer, yes or no, up or down, left or right. Right? It's a polarity binary type of system. So let's give it a shake. Hold it up to the light, see what we see. Well, clearly Earth, right? That green bead is like, look at me, right? So that's what we're going to look at. And that is feminine, right? So that's a yang. That's a woman energy, the feminine energy, negative energy, black instead of white. You know, that kind of idea. And so if it's a yes or no question, you would go that route, right? Yeah, the idea of polarity is very powerful. Each Ching type oracle gives you the answer. That's right. And that it could also be used to derive lines, right? So that's the yang line. Or yin, rather. It's another female. Sword. One more line. Female. Okay. Oh, neat. Mountain Lake. Yeah. 31. Let's do the inner trigram. Okay, and this actually just swapped. That's funny. So it went from mountain or lake over mountain to mountain over lake. Right, let me make sure that that's correct. We have wind. Wind. Right, lake over wind. And let's just pull one changing line just for the heck of it. I'm going to use this for the changing line. You do a pinch. If it's a 1 to 6, you count that as the number. If it is greater than 6, subtract 6. Six. Okay, so the sixth line is the changing line. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna read number 31, read the sixth line, and then I'm gonna end the stream. It's in Homes. Yeah, it's 5:30. Number 31, mutual attraction. Mutual attraction brings joyous love. One will benefit from being upright and persistent. Marriage brings good fortune. In this hexagram, lake is above mountain. This image represents the mutual attraction and interaction of these two kinds of natural energy. Mountain is the youngest son of nature, and lake is its youngest daughter. Therefore, mutual attraction or love occurs naturally. Lake represents gentleness. Its movement is descending. Mountain represents strength and firmness. Its movement is ascending. These two different aspects of movement are in communion. While each retains its own natural characteristics, together they interact and harmonize. In human relationship, lake symbolizes a young girl, and the mountain symbolizes a young boy. They experience true love and share a strong mutual attraction. Now I'm going to read the changing line, which was 6. So take that and apply it to this. Attraction reaches the mouth. Conversation is brought about. so great. What am I always talking about here? It's always about the conversation. Who's talking, who's listening. Just to be clear, attraction reaches the mouth. Conversation is brought about. The top line reaches the tongue and could result in flattery or pleasant talk. Maybe it also represents kissing. Everything will be beautiful. However, one may lose oneself in love. Of all the things I can lose myself in, that's not the worst. A beautiful marriage. A good family growth. Success. Cool. Any questions? Oh no, are we still talking about cursed mortal dick? Beware of the cursed mortal dick. A pathetic shriveled troll whose magic is long lost. That's true. It's half the men in the world right now. It's really sad. Sorry, ladies. That's the pool you get to pick from, right? God bless you all. There's good ones out there, though. There are. They're just married or gay, but nonetheless, they're out there. So that was fun. That actually wasn't a bad stream considering what my expectation was and what actually happened and then how it landed. I think it landed pretty good. I didn't rant for too long about how much everything is, why can't I have what, teenage boys have that can just like stream their 60 FPS video games. But I'm over it. I'm going to get to church, man. A church man that's scared to come outside. Smeagol vibes. Right. It does seem like, though, no joke, all kidding aside, Vesta, it does seem like it wouldn't hurt to have somebody come in with some spiritual understanding and to maybe do a cleansing, right? This conversation got really weird. Yeah, so, alright, what's the Hebrew word of the day? Generalization and inclusion. Generalization and inclusion. True. Oh, I'm loving every minute of this. I'm happy to join in. And you know what? I've never had a problem being the only guy in the room. Trust me. Okay. Thank you to everybody who was patient with me as I went through this process again. Streams dropping, things breaking, things falling, things tripping, all the nonsense, and so thank you for letting me deal with this and not cope very publicly. This is fucking gold. I'm just gonna sit back and read this chat. I'm not going anywhere. Where's my glasses? Maddie, where you been? You missed all kinds of good shit. You should scroll back on the chat. It is gold. The chat tonight is friggin' platinum. Let's just pull some random cards and call it. This is Surrealist Tarot. Let me just do it that way. Okay. Move this over. The Two of Wands is awesome. Two of Wands is really cool energy because it's kind of the idea of these two wills kind of getting together toward one goal. And the interesting part about that is that there's also this person being enrolled in the process in the back there. He's the shadowy figure in the back by the egg. So what you have is this individual, and then that individual way in the back. And the product is this automaton. It's a neat card. And, you know, the Surrealist Tarot is really, really beautiful. If you notice on the bottom of the card, down here, you have that green, red, yellow, black square. Right? That's at the bottom of this thing that they've created. I want you to notice the color pattern of the 10th Sephiroth on the bottom there, right? The Malkut, the one on the bottom. Right? It's the same pattern. Okay, and that wasn't accidental. You know, that was for him to employ the fact that kind of Rasta color pattern is indicative of the combination of the elements made manifest physically. And now this card's in the Spirit Center. And so what this is referring to is that there is a karmic connection with the two wills being enrolled in creating this thing. They can either be competing or they can be complementary. That depends upon some other circumstances, right? So let's take a look at we're going to be coming from the heart section next. Okay. And see how that connects into mind, right? So in heart we have the Eight of Wands. Seeking, waiting, wanting, looking. Becoming tired of waiting and being in a position to manifest in order to satisfy. Now, how's that going to happen? It's going to be communicated through the High Priestess, which is the watery part of your intuition. This is the intuitive part of your spirit. This is the part of you that knows stuff, and you don't know how you know, but you do. And from here. Okay. And now how does the High Priestess communicate? She does so through the truth in secret. there's an agenda, and it's deeper than people think, but at the same time, she is in this state of wanting to kind of keep a little bit of it hidden, have you come to it on your own time, but as part of the process, right? When we move that into manifestation, we have to get through will first, right? And then we're going to go up to spirit and then wind up in manifestation. That almost made sense, but we're going to go, okay, that made sense. It's tough when you don't see the illustration. Like, yeah, I was just moving my hand. Yeah, wow, that delay is long. Then it allows you to know how to make the pentacle happen, which is cool because look at the card that came up as the pentacle section. Right, the manifestation section is the world, the universe, the completed work. It's perfect. And what we have here, High Priestess, is moving into the lovers. So the idea is the communication is for the connection. Recognition that the thing that wants to be made requires two. And if you consider that enrollment, if you want to manifest, you're going to want to land on the pentacle. So you're going to start here, you're going to go up, down, over, and then back down. So starting at the pentacle into spirit is going to be defining what it is that you actually want to accomplish. I.e., I want a connection, and that connection be karmic to the degree that I can utilize it as a tool to make manifest our wills. Okay? And that's going to bring us down into the will itself, and that will is for that connection to take place. That this separateness be allowed to become a union. And when that takes place, it's going to move up into here. So we went down, and now we're going to move into communication. So in order for that to happen, she needs to use her intuition. She needs to use the watery part of herself. Not the nurturing part. That's the Empress. That's not where we are. We're in the High Priestess mode. High Priestess mode is the mode of understanding your divine and using it. We're going to move back into heart at this point, which is the idea of growing impatient. And so this is a card of somebody that's in a state of seeking. They're looking around, but then what we actually realize is once this camera catches up, is that that's a person painting, right? This is actually his palette. It's his imagination. It's a fantasy, but not a fantasy like the cup version. This is more of, you know what? I'm tired of waiting for this thing, so I'm just gonna make it. I'm just gonna make it happen, and that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing that idea of making it happen. Okay, so then we've gone here. Okay, now we're in the heart, and now we're going to drop back down into manifestation. And so just to be clear, this is the idea of understanding that it takes two to tango, and it takes two to create something. The thing that you want to create is that connection for that purpose. This is what you actually want. So, you know, there's a separateness that you have in your life that you want alleviated. And in doing so, it's going to create something special. Now that moves into the High Priestess. And then back down, and then we get the final thing that is being created, which beautifully is the creation card. The world, the universe, the end, the beginning. The only card that actually exists. You could say the same thing about the Fool, but they're the same card, so it doesn't matter. All right. Yeah, this shot is really good tonight. It's true. I know I try to resist the urge, too, to look up at the chat because it really throws me off every time. You guys are great. There's always good discourse in there, whether it's just like ridiculous nonsense or whether it's like, you know, plotting to like kick the shit out of somebody who did. It's just really great. Or whatever it is, it's good stuff. Like whatever it is, it's good stuff. All right, give us the final message to top the evening off, and that is going to be Eight of Swords. You are not bound. You are not bound. The Eight of Swords is the lesson that we have to be conscious of the fact that the things that bind us are the things that we think bind us. Anytime we want, we can just take that blindfold off. Anytime we want, we can just walk out of the room. We just need to believe that we can. Okay? And so the Eight of Swords, in this particular circumstance, is the idea. There we go. Come on now. Sorry about that. The Eight of Swords is the idea that if we recognize the truth, the things that we think are holding us back don't actually exist. And they're just a misinterpretation, a misunderstanding of what's actually happening. That's all. And we always have the opportunity to change our perspective. You know, there's always a conversation happening, and there's one of two things taking place at any given moment. You're either giving your agency up or taking it back. That's one of the two things that's happening, and there's nothing else that can happen, right? And so that's the gist. And at the end of the process, when we own that, it gives us an opportunity to grow, to not be in the position of losing it to begin with, right? If anyone has any questions or needs any additional insight about anything we talked about, let me know. In the meantime, I appreciate everybody popping in tonight, and if you have any specific ideas about questions, about subjects, or anything that you want me to cover, I'm happy to do it. Just send me a text or an email, or reach out, and we'll make it happen. And I think that's all that I wanted to cover right now, other than kind of the obvious, which is that this community and the way it's building is really something to be proud of. The way we all get together in here and get stuff done. And it really means a lot. I feel very special and very fortunate to have met any of you. And so, the fact that we get to continue to do this every night and grow this, it just feels great. And, I'm happy to invite anyone who has a subject or something you want to talk about, reach out to me, and we'll get you on the channel. Like, if there's a certain thing that you speak to that you think you can contribute to, let me know, and we'll make sure that people can hear it from your perspective. Excuse me. I appreciate that. Well, I'll be honest, kitten. It was for selfish reasons. I was lonely. And I realized that the only way I'm going to meet people that are like me is by going online and talking weird. Anybody that stays in my channel after hearing what I have to say belongs here. Right? That's the bottom line. You belong here. Yeah. All right, I'm losing it. Hardcore. My brain is I'm actually kind of not here right now. So I'm going to attempt to sleep. I will say this. I feel a very intense, serious calm and a peace about the future. And that matters. I feel like this is working. I feel like that the intention that I put out was heard by the people who needed to hear it, and that things are taking place here in a big way that I never could have predicted, never could have expected. And you're all a part of that. And it's really important. Thank you. I appreciate that, Tanamara. I know I'm going to do it. I am. I feel like I'm going to have a nice, good night's sleep tonight. I do. There's a calm and a peace that was given to me today. A very, very important gift was given to me today. It's a very important gift. And it's going to make a big change to a lot of people's lives, including myself and this channel and some other stuff that's going on. So, big deal. Very special. Okay. So anyway, you guys have a great night. Sleep well as well, and I will see you in my dreams, because what I do every night when I go in there is I remember everybody. I remember that we're all the same, and so my dream is yours. And spoiler, tonight's dream is going to have a really happy ending, and you're in it, so join me, okay? And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, thanks so much. I appreciate it.